Relations, I must greet you specially this morning. The Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Beitama Tuga, Officer of the Order of the Niger. The Honorable Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo. The Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga. The Special Advisor to the President on Media and Public Communications, Chief Sunday Dari. The Acting Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Ibidapo Okuno. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Dunoma Umar Ahmed. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Dr. Magdalene Jani. Senior Special Assistants to the President here this morning, top government officials, federal directors in the ministries here this morning, Director Generals, Comptroller Generals, Chief Executive Officers, Managing Directors, as well as Executive Secretaries in the agencies and parastatals under the ministries represented here this morning, editors, bureau chiefs, members of the fourth estate of the realm, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Odije Ehidiame Kelvin, and for the duration of this 5th edition of the Ministerial Press Briefing Series, I will be your master of ceremony. Before we commence the proceedings of today, permit me to lay background on why we're here. You may wish to recall that in recent time, in this Ministerial Press Briefing, since its inception in February, the ministry has hosted 5 ministries. That is the Ministry of Livestock Development, Regional Development, Industry, Trade and Investment, Aviation and Aerospace Development, as well as Education. This morning, we'll be having wonderful presentations from the Minister of Foreign Affairs as well as the Minister of Interior. At this time, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permits me to invite to the microphone the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation to please lift the curtain on today's proceedings. So please put your hands together for Mohammed Idris, Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, my colleagues, gentlemen of the media. The Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, the Honorable Minister of Interior, Mr. Olubunmi Ojo, Special Advisors to the President, Mr. Bayo Onanuga and Mr. Sunday Dari, Permanent Secretaries, Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Interior, heads of agencies and parastatals of the 3 ministries here present. The list is so long to be difficult to recognize you all individually. Let me welcome all of you to this edition of the Ministerial Press Briefing. And thank you, my colleagues, members of the media, for always keeping a date with us to ensure that Nigerians are always informed about programs and activities of the administration. It is a privilege to welcome my distinguished colleagues, the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, and the Honorable Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, as well as the permanent secretaries, directors, and heads of agencies here present, to the 5th edition of the 2025 Ministerial Press Briefing. This session, as always, is a vital opportunity for the Honorable Ministers to update Nigerians on the progress and significant milestones achieved under their stewardship. Through this interactive forum, which is enhanced by multimedia channels, we reaffirm the government's commitment to transparency and public engagement by providing direct insights into the policies, initiatives, and reforms shaping the ministry's objectives. The Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Chuga, indeed a seasoned diplomat, deserves commendation for his commitment to promoting Nigeria's image on the global stage. Through proactive diplomacy, strategic international engagement, and a clear articulation of Nigeria's foreign policy objectives. Similarly, the Honorable Minister of Interior, Dr. Tunji Ojo, has brought remarkable innovation towards repositioning the ministry in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Under his leadership, the ministry has undergone transformative changes that have significantly enhanced the ease and efficiency with which Nigerians engage with and access its services. Since the launch of the 2025 series of Ministerial Press Briefing, 7 of my colleagues, honorable ministers, have taken the stage to present their scorecards to Nigerians. Let me re-emphasize that each minister will have the opportunity to engage directly with Nigerians during this forum, leading up to the 2025 Democracy Day celebrations. This initiative, being driven by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, highlights the government's commitment to accountability. It equally serves as a platform to keep Nigerians informed about the ongoing policies and programs of the Tinubu administration to foster active citizens' engagement in the nation's governance process. I would like to once again express my appreciation to the media for your dedication in covering the Ministerial Press Briefing session. Today's briefing takes place within a significant period as the Nigerian Union of Journalists is marking its 70th anniversary. This is a milestone that reflects NUJ's enduring commitment to press freedom and journalistic excellence. I thought you would clap at this juncture. You cannot be clapping for everyone else and forget about yourselves. I hereby take the liberty to reaffirm the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to upholding press freedom and creating a conducive environment for the media to practice in this country. This administration believes that a free and responsible press is essential for good governance, transparency, and national development. Let me emphasize that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a foremost Democrat, is fully committed to protecting the constitutionally guaranteed rights of all Nigerians and also encourages constructive criticism and healthy opposition because of their essential role in reinforcing and deepening our democratic framework. Now, let me say that the 2 ministers will have a maximum of 30 minutes each to present what they think they need to tell Nigerians. We will start with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, after which we will take the Minister of Interior. At the end of their presentation, the 2 presentations, the members of the media will now have the opportunity to engage with all of them at the same time. I want to urge you to keep your commentaries, questions, and observations strictly in line with what they have presented to you today. It is now my singular honor and privilege to invite the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, to take the stage. Thank you, gentlemen of the press.
The Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, Honorable Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubumi Tunji-Ojo, Special Advisor for Information and Strategy, Special Advisor, Media and Public Communications, PAMSECs, here present, heads of agencies, gentlemen of the press, media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Very good afternoon to you all. I thank you for this opportunity to speak about what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been doing with regards to delivering on the responsibilities given to it by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Government of Nigeria, and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Some of you may recall that last time I stood here, I delved straight into facts and figures, what we had been able to attract in terms of investment to Nigeria from other countries. This is what I started with, because we were doing a lot of exciting things. But these things take time. There's a gestation period. So if Nigeria attracts 14 billion from India, it doesn't mean 14 billion is automatically transferred that same day to Nigeria. It takes time. There are projects, there are different ways of applying it. So this time around, what I'm going to do is focus on what we've been doing for Nigerians directly. And the most important thing that we've been doing, in my opinion, is redeeming Nigeria's image abroad. When I say redeeming Nigeria's image abroad, I'm talking about compensating for any faults that we may have projected. And I think we've succeeded in that thus far. But so the next stage is really to exalt and glorify Nigeria's image abroad. In terms of redemption, we now have a good image. I'm confident to say that. Now, how have we been able to do that? We have done that by restoring the dignity of Nigerian citizens in other countries, and by having a zero tolerance for the humiliation of Nigerians anywhere in the world. And it doesn't matter how high or how low. It can be Victor Osimhen trying to be rubbish or trying to be prejudiced towards, and it can be somebody who is lonely, living in a country outside Nigeria. Now, I will give you real life examples, and I will start by a young man from Benue State by the name of Jesse Ode, who was locked up in a country. I'm not going to name the country. No need to know. We are not going to be naming names. And even though there were instructions to even have him released by the authorities, the highest authorities of that country, it never happened for years, until the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration negotiated through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, using diplomatic channels and diplomatic pressure, to have Jesse Ode released. He's back home, he's living safely, he's going about his business. There are three young ladies that were wrongfully accused, again in another country in the Middle East. Fatima Kanai Gamboy, Hadiza Abba, and Fatima Umati Mala. Again, we secured their release. They are back here at home. You can see their pictures there for those that can. I'll give you an example of another set of Nigerians that overstayed in an African country. And because of that, they were locked up again. They were detained. Because when you stay longer than you're supposed to, longer than your visa, then you start, a meter starts running. And you have to pay before you leave the country. And if you can't pay, you get detained. Secured their release and also bought tickets for them to come back home. Emmanuel David is there to give testimony. Peter Chinonso Abalobi is there to give testimony. And so is Daniel Buluese. So there's so many other examples, because sometimes the problem we have in foreign affairs is it's difficult to show what we're doing, because we don't award contracts, we don't employ people, young graduates or school leavers en masse. So when we are asked what do we do, people just think, no, there's nothing happening. But so we're in the same boat with the Minister of Information. Our remit is not to be awarding contracts. So that's why I'm beginning with this, so that people begin to comprehend what it is we do. And certain things we cannot brag about, because we want to maintain good relations with the countries that we're dealing with as well. Nigeria also always puts forward moral precepts and ethical considerations in the implementation of its foreign policy. And that's why you see us, for instance, voting along with other countries in favor of Ukraine in the United Nations. But at the same time, you also see us standing with Palestine, with Gaza. And even when we do that, it's okay for a country like South Africa, because of its history, because of what it's been through, to be the ones to take Israel to court, the International Court of Justice. But what Nigeria is doing, because of those moral precepts and ethical considerations, is so much also behind the scenes. So people don't know that it was Nigeria that was negotiating the exit of babies, of infants from Gaza to neighboring countries, to Jordan, to Egypt, to United Arab Emirates, so that they will be able to be treated. They can get the treatment that they could not get in Gaza. Of course, this is also a demonstration of the concept of strategic autonomy. We will deal with whoever we want to, whichever country we want to, based on our national interests and based on certain treaty and obligations and agreements we've entered into, either bilaterally or multilaterally. And that's why, even though we may differ with certain countries, we still find ourselves on the same page on other issues. With the United States of America, we have a very strong relationship. Again, I want to give an example of something tangible that has been done, a refund of certain stolen funds that were taken to the U.S., impounded, sale of a particular yacht, something that was stuck. It was under this administration that we negotiated for the repatriation of those funds. And this was done almost one-to-one between myself and the then Deputy Secretary of State. And there was a deadline because they wanted to conclude before handing over because we had put so much pressure. And we succeeded in that. And still on the US, I want to talk about the African Growth Opportunities Act. A lot of African countries were looking to Nigeria to lead the charge to see that the African Growth Opportunities Act was extended, because the US Congress was looking to, it was considering bringing it to an end. It is important because it allows a lot of African countries to export to the United States of America so that they don't face tariffs. Now, we were not only negotiating for that, but we were pushing for finished products to be exported. So we don't want to just be exporting raw materials or food items directly from the farm like yam. No. We want to export garments, synthetic materials, because we have ramped up production of polymer, of plastics, of synthetic materials from our refineries. We have the 4 refineries owned by governments with a capacity of 445,000 barrels per day. In addition, now we have the Dangote refinery with 650,000 barrels per day. We have Indorama also producing synthetics that can be used for face caps, for trainers, for canvas, shoes, etc. And when we do that, we're also promoting Nigerian businesses. We're putting them in front so that a rough and tumble can export to the US instead of just the default setting, which is Africa always exporting raw materials. So this is something that we're doing. And of course, when I talk about Indorama, it was under this administration also that the expansion of Indorama's capacity was negotiated and the investment came through. So promoting Nigerian businesses, again, to do that, to speak for others on the continent and to represent so that we can interrogate the global financial architecture. We need to be members of the G20, and now we've become regular invitees. We were invited to India, we were invited to Brazil, now we have also been invited by South Africa. Each country that chairs invites us. And I will also talk about China and the upgrading of our relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. But that was not just an empty pronouncement, because we were also able to get China to allow Nigeria to start exporting groundnuts, cashew, ginger, at least five products. And then we're also able to negotiate, of course, the currency swap and looking to expand it. And when I talk about India, I've talked about the 14 billion that was attracted over a number of years that would be invested in Nigeria. Indorama, 8 billion. There's a steel plant in Akwa Ibom worth 3.5 billion that is being built by the Jindal Group, the largest steel manufacturer in India. And credit has to go to an officer that retired not so long ago, Ambassador Ahmed Sule of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He was the substantive ambassador in 2023 when this deal was negotiated, and it was due to his consistency under pressure. So these are unsung heroes of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. When we talk about Brazil, we talk about JBS that visited about 2 weeks ago. They're the largest players in terms of livestock in the world. They slaughter something like 80 million chicken a day from all over the world, 20-something million cows all over. They have decided they're coming to invest. And this is following in the footsteps of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's visit to Brazil. They are not only going to invest in livestock, but also the feed, so soybeans. Brazil is right up there when it comes to that. We have the Green Imperative Project, which we signed recently I believe it was even this week, worth $1.1 billion, with Brazil. This is something that was also stuck for such a long time. It's finally been concluded. It's all over the media. I'm sure if you check, you will see. In the presence of the Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima. And this is going to have one project per local government, so 774 projects. And the Foreign Minister of Brazil visited me again this same week, which is why we had the, we pushed the discussion towards niobium. Niobium is a mineral that is found here in Nigeria that Brazil is a leader in producing. Not just producing, refining it. So the metals processing of niobium. And they were very excited when we took this up. They want to come and invest in metals processing capacity, building metals processing capacity here in Nigeria. So you see, these relationships also are like a muscle. If you don't exercise them, they go flabby. And we have so many agreements, so many relationships that have been dormant. And what we'll be doing is bringing them back to life and using it to take up opportunities. Europe, we were there recently. We were in the United Kingdom, where we had a retreat with the Foreign Secretary David Lammy. And again, we engaged them on the issue of students and student visas, because they want our students to go to their institutions of higher learning, but they're not issuing enough visas. So we're exploring the possibilities of using remote learning. There's so many businesses, because we're so far advanced in terms of startups, in terms of even business process outsourcing, which is growing. So we actually arranged meetings for some of these business process outsourcing outfits to discuss that. We engaged with the diaspora, because it's one of our 4Ds. So we're in Africa House. We visited Money Point, which is our latest unicorn, because we're trying, as I said, as much as possible to always put Nigerian businesses up front and to continue to support and encourage them. And we want to listen to what their problems are, so that we'll be able to solve such problems through diplomatic means. And of course, we begin to leverage our diaspora wherever we find them, which is why it was the Nigerian diaspora essentially that arranged a visit for us to the House of Parliament, where we engaged with them. We engaged with members of the House of Parliament, the House of Lords. We talked to so many of the MPs that were quite keen on increasing investments and engagements with Nigeria. And of course, we also met with the British International Investment, which is a development finance institution that is looking to do more, where again, we're trying to push them towards linking high street brands with some of these things that I was talking about, synthetics, how to produce trainers, canvas, face caps, and so forth, and providing the funding for infrastructure projects. Germany, as you all know, I served in Germany, so you know that I'm not going to dwell too much on some of the achievements there, but let me just highlight what we have managed to do with the European School of Management, where we secured, for starters, 20 scholarships for Nigerians. Yesterday, there was the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue, where Nigeria was announced as a partner to Germany in the Green Guarantee Group, which is going to be providing credit guarantees for businesses in the renewable sector, solar, hydro, etc. And of course, it was the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that negotiated successfully the signing of an agreement with Geoscan, that is working with the Ministry of Solid Minerals on lithium mining and exploration. That has gone very far. We have a lot of lithium, and we're looking to increase the exploration of that, but also, again, like I said earlier, domesticating the processing capacity, not for others to take the raw lithium out, refine it, and then sell it to other people, add value, where we don't get the benefits of adding the value, employment, and getting more out of it. So let me move briefly to the Middle East. Saudi Fund for Development visited us recently, and of course it's all to do with investing also. Saudi is very keen, and we're collaborating with them in terms of food security, which is Mr. President's #1 priority. They also, as you know, most of these countries in the Middle East are deserts. So in terms of food production, they are looking to partner with countries like Nigeria that are more verdant. They have a $7.7 trillion halal economy. Everything that is halal, that is slaughtered the right way through Islamic processes. Now, we are working closely with the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa. We brought them in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and of course, once we bring them in, we pass them on to the Ministry of Finance, to Central Bank of Nigeria, to the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund, and so forth. So that has gone far. An agreement has already been signed for the halal economy, and there are certain Nigerian businesses that are already taking advantage of such opportunities. And of course, in terms of food security, we're dealing with Saudi Arabia, with Egypt. Egypt is also interested in investing in Nigeria. Not too long ago, I traveled with the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Water Resources, where we engaged with Egypt. We want to invest in our river basin development authorities. And we have established a new relationship with Bahrain, because we never sealed that agreement on establishing the relationship. These are countries. Bahrain is, I believe, the first country in the Middle East to establish a petroleum economy. So they're quite keen to invest. We have increased Nigeria's territory under this administration. That is the outer limits of our continental shelf. It's something that was ongoing, that was dragging, but it has been finalized now. So our territorial waters have been increased. Digitization, the ministry internally is digitizing. And I'm always on the permanent secretary's case. We need to move faster. Notarization of documents, legalization of documents. We want to have a handshake with the Ministry of Interior that has done a fabulous job with regards to passport issuance, visas, and so forth, so that digitally we will be able to communicate, and we will be able to harmonize the processes. I have not spoken about Africa, so I'll talk about Africa and our recent victory in the African Union elections, where Nigeria was the only country to sweep its elections. First round, Nigeria was voted as a member of the Peace and Security Council. First round, Bankole Adeoye, Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, was voted back to his position. And don't think it's easy, especially when we did it without spending a penny. We leveraged on Nigeria's image and goodwill and tact. And you should see what some other countries were spending without getting the joy. So it is no small feat. We have to understand our stature, our image, and what we've been able to achieve with regards to redeeming Nigeria's image abroad, as I started earlier. And in the African Union, of course, we have successfully, under this administration, brought the African Central Bank. It's going to be domesticated here. It's going to be in Nigeria and Abuja. This is something, again, that was dragging. And for those of you that are in startups, the advantage here is, if you look at other continents, when you register a startup or you have a license, you can operate in all the other countries. And this is what the African Central Bank is going to do. And since we're leaders in startups, in fintech, it's going to become even easier for Nigerian startups to do that once the African Central Bank is up and running. And then, of course, there was the sea lift agreement where Nigerian vessels of the Nigerian Navy will be used to move around troops, African troops, for peacekeeping. And it's not going to be for free because Nigeria will be paid for its services. And the base is next door to us in Cameroon. And this was concluded at the African Union. I will talk briefly about, where I talked about the African Central Bank and the startups. I have to mention the Technical Aid Corps. This is something that Nigeria has been doing since 1987, sending out professionals, university lecturers, engineers, doctors. The Director General is here. And what we have managed to do now is, instead of just sending the volunteers for free, we are going to start giving countries that are in need of Nigerian professionals outside of that the opportunity to work with the Technical Aid Corps so that they pay, they invest in training. If the British NHS wants our nurses, then they can be trained through the Technical Aid Corps since it's already existing, and then we can send them out, but we train enough for us, enough for them, not to send everybody out. So that's something else that is ongoing. When we talk about ECOWAS, all we keep hearing is AES is leaving, AES is leaving. Nobody is talking about the successes. The ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, where Nigeria, 1,000 Nigerian businesses have registered in that scheme. They've registered over 11,000 products. And those are the 2024 figures. It's increasing by the day. You don't have to pay the taxes, the levies, so that we benefit more from trading with each other. There is, of course, the African Atlantic Gas Pipeline, which is the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline that has been adopted by ECOWAS. The agreements are ready to be signed, and this will see Nigerian gas, since we have 207 trillion cubic feet of it, delivered all the way to Morocco through 15 countries. And Morocco is tied to Europe through the Maghreb line. So this presents an opportunity, and it's part of the dialogue we're also having with the Americans, because they can come and domesticate and invest, first of all, in building the pipeline, and then utilize the gas for artificial intelligence. That's their big tech, since they're heavy in the US government at the moment, and the US government is promoting them. They can invest in data mining, in artificial intelligence, which consumes a lot of electricity. The problem the world is facing now is a shortage of electricity. When you have so many electric vehicles, then you don't have enough electricity for buildings, for other use, for heating. So Nigeria is blessed when it comes to that. And there are other countries also that will plug into that, like Senegal, that will be producing gas. Same way that Ghana started with us with the West Africa gas pipeline. Today, Ghana is also producing into the West Africa gas pipeline. I think I will leave that for now. There's also the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline that we're working on with Nigeria, and guess who? Niger Republic. 3 weeks ago, my colleague, the Minister of State for Gas, traveled to Algiers. He met with the Minister of Energy for Algeria, Minister of Energy of Niger Republic. So don't believe what you read. There's a lot happening. Lastly, let me talk about what we are doing in our building itself, Tafawa Balewa House. We have the atrium where we showcase Nigerian artists. So far, I think we've showcased about 20. where we display their art to visitors and dignitaries that visit our building from all over the world. The same way we showcase cuisine and we invite Nigerian restaurants and other culinary experts. And this all has to do, of course, with the 4Ds: democracy, development, demography, and diaspora. And this concept of strategic autonomy that gives us all this leverage to engage with all of these countries all over the world. There's so much more I can say, but time is limited, and we will continue to explain as we go along. I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you for listening.
Please, can we make the applause a bit louder? Thank you very much, the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. We'll move into the next presentation that will take another 30 minutes. Permit me at this time to invite to the microphone the Honorable Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji Ojo.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, all special advisors and all appointees in the House, and the permanent secretaries in the House. The Ministry of Interior, just as we know, is in charge of what we call citizenship integrity and the enhancement of internal security within Nigeria. And in the last 1 year or more, since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assumed office as President of Nigeria, we know that there's been a lot of changes and a lot of achievements under his able leadership. The ministry, just as you know, oversees the Nigerian Immigration Service, the Federal Fire Service, the Nigerian Correctional Service, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the board, as well as the National Identity Management Commission, the NIMC. And in the last 1 year, I will have to start with the first major achievement of this administration has been reorientation, changing the orientation and changing the scope of expectation of Nigerians with regards to deliverables by the ministry. I would like to end at the level of the ministry, but let me start with the agencies because they are the operational units upon which we work. I'll start with the Nigerian Immigration Service. Before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into office, we had a Nigerian Immigration Service with due respect that I like to call a travel document issuing agency. But of course, that's not the mandate of NIS. The mandate is very clear. Border control, migration management. These are core responsibilities. And I'm happy to tell you that a lot of achievements have been recorded. I'll start by taking the issue of border control, which is very simple. Barack Obama once said, a secured border is a safe nation. Show me a country that cannot secure its borders, and I'll show you a nation that can never be safe. What did President Bola Ahmed Tinubu do what has he done in the last couple of months? We had our terrestrial border about 4,047 kilometers, mainly on land. But I can tell you as we speak, a lot of these border posts have been reconstructed and officers on duty to ensure that even terrestrial migration is regulated. That's number one. Number two is the fact that it will interest you that the Nigerian Immigration Service didn't have a command and control center. For a country, the biggest country in Africa, over 230 million people, and there is no command and control center for migration management. It means we're just joking. This president came, and what did he do? Within 12 months, from scratch, from foundation, a command and control center was built, and not just built, the command and control center was equipped, not just equipped, a command and control center was integrated with all security checklist and database everywhere in the world on real-time basis. And what is the result? Just 2 days ago, somebody on the red list of Interpol was apprehended in Abuja just because of the command and control center, the solution that we have. Last week, somebody on the red list again of Interpol wanted in Ireland at the point of entry was apprehended right in Lagos Murtala Mohammed International Airport. What is that telling us? It is no longer business as usual. Our border solution now, our border situation is business unusual. Nobody wanted anywhere in the world. A person of interest will get into Nigeria without Nigeria no position to pick such a person and hand over such person to law enforcement agencies. And the command and control center, it will also interest you that within what we call the back center that was commissioned by Mr. President in December, immigration base was established in 1964. That makes it about 60 years old, almost 61 years old. There was nothing, we'd never had a data center. Imagine an agency that deals with data of Nigerians without a data center of its own, relying on third parties. We started, and what this government has been able to build, it's arguably one of the biggest data centers in Nigeria. We started by proposing a 1.0 petabyte. What do we have now? We have an 8.3 petabyte data center. That is one of the biggest you can get anywhere in Africa. We now have that. What it means is that the security of Nigerian data, the security of even our information, and again, what I call the archival knowledge has been enhanced. It means that in the next 10, 20 years, there is a cross-reference point for our agencies and our security agencies in general. We've been able to do that. And of course, we have also been able to build what we call our visa approval center. There is no country in the world that I know where you approve visas in all embassies or consulates all over. What you have in countries are issuance, approval, going through a normal vetting process, because the visa is actually not, and I repeat, the visa is not actually a travel document. Visa is a migration control document. You use it to control who comes in to your country. So a lot of background checks needed to be done. That was not present, because what we had was an officer being the recipient, the same officer being the evaluator, the same officer being the approving person, and also the issuer. There was no control. But today, we have a centralized visa approval center standing in Nigerian Immigration Center. Also, beyond that, we, as I speak to you, we have started the centralization of our passport issuance, because we realized that we were issuing passports in more than 50 locations. There is nowhere in the world that is done. We took this to the Federal Executive Council, and it was approved, because your passport is a security document. You hold it, but it belongs to Nigeria. That is the truth. It's a Nigerian document. It's not your document. And you centralize the issuance of this. In UK, passport is issued in only one place. In America, it's only in 2 places. In China, it is 1. But in Nigeria, we have more than 50-something issuing centers. At the end of the day, so many people carry Nigerian passport without being Nigerians. And we saw that was a dent on the image of this country. And what have we done? Get to NIS, you will see that we have centralized the passport production. We started with phase 1 with about 14 countries now being produced here and being DHL'd to the embassies in
those countries. But the issuance is here in Nigeria. That gives us the authenticity, it enhances the integrity of our travel document. Beyond that, we have to also say this, that go to our airports today, you will see the e-gates. Because anywhere you go to JFK, you arrive at JFK, you arrive at Heathrow, what do you see? You see British citizens get to Heathrow, they go through their e-gate, they don't need to have business with immigration service unless they are persons of interest. But then, it was headache. You be on the queue, coming to Nigeria, you get to Nigeria as a Nigerian, stay on the same queue, and other sort of stress. But what do we have today? We have e-gates installed in our airport. So when you come into Nigeria, we are welcoming you home, and we are telling you, welcome back to where you are loved and where you're welcomed. So we have been able to do this and also integrate all these solutions to all criminal database systems in the world, maybe Interpol 247, MIDAS solution, everything. We have done this, make life easier for people without compromising national security. It's about striking the appropriate balance, and I think that is what this government under Mr. President has been able to do. And guess what? All these solutions that had been built at the level of NIS, they are off-grid, because we thought about the issue of power. What we have there is a 4 megawatt solar farm that powers all this to ensure 24/7 uptime. Because just as you know, you cannot, and I repeat, you can't ensure 99% accuracy when it comes to national security, when it comes to border control. It has to be 100%. So you can't afford a blind spot. And that is one thing we have been able to do under this president. And also, to our passports, when we came on board, we met a scenario where we had over 200,000 passports that were, backlogs. What did we do? Within 2.5 weeks, we cleared these passports without government investing an extra kobo. We were able to clear the whole of this. And we made a promise to Nigerians. And what was that promise? The promise we made was that this was not going to repeat itself. It's not about solving the problem. It's about making sure that there is a sustainable solution, making sure that these issues do not happen again. And as I speak to you today, go through, if you apply for a Nigerian passport, you will know the story has changed. The story has changed because Nigerians, on the average, within 2 weeks, you get your international passport, and especially Nigerians in diaspora. We also realize that the obligation of this government is not just to Nigerians in Nigeria, but of course Nigerians all over the world. And we realize, and I want to especially appreciate the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the support that we've had. I really want to appreciate the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because we came up with the idea and we said, listen, in a place like Canada, I can't imagine somebody flying 6-8 hours to Ottawa just because he needs to renew passport. The kind of backlog, how many people, how many applicants do we have? What is the level of the backlog? And the question is this, how many can we take at a time? There are places like in the UK where you have to wait for 4, 5, 6 months before you can get a date for capturing. That wasn't ideal. And we said, this is 2024, this is 2025, not 1985. Technology must play its role. That's the truth. Technology must play its role. And what have we been able to do? We introduced what we call the contactless passport application system for renewals, because we realized that 70% of those applying for passports are actually people looking for renewal, not first-time applicants. First-time applicants were like 30%. So what did we do? We introduced what we call a contactless solution. How does it work? Simple. We already have your biometric. So you can verify your biometric without you coming to the office. All you need to do, download the app, confirm your biometric. If it is you, we already have your details in our database anyway. If it matches, then we get you your passport and we send your passport to you. It's not something novel. It's what is done in the UK, it's what's done in the US, it's not what is done all over the world. So we think that being a Nigerian should not be stressful. It should be a sweet and pleasant experience, as Mr. President has always said. So what we decided to do, and I tell you, we started in November in Canada. We tried it in Canada. We saw that it was successful.
We moved to Europe in February, and just this March, we moved to Asia. And by next month, we will now move to America, just to spread it around the world. So what it means is that to that your son, who is a student, who needs to renew his passport, he doesn't need to cancel or miss class. He doesn't need to put extra burden of buying tickets, going to hotel, lodging, waiting to be able to renew passport. He should be able to do it within 5 to 10 minutes within the comfort of his home. That is the Nigerian experience. That is what we want as the Nigerian story. A story that is built on sweet experience. That is what we have been able to do. And let me tell you, especially in Canada, a lot of our students were almost out of status because of issue of passport. And there was a day, a high-level person came to my house as early as 6 a.m. telling me, oh, my needs a passport in Canada now. It's not it, or the PR. How? And I thought to myself, to get a passport, why must you need to know anybody? It shouldn't be. So, but technology, you do it 5 minutes, you get it, we mail it to you from the embassy mails it to you, and you are good. And with that, and in UK, because I got a news about UK, I also have to use this to say that people, about 40,000 people, the contactless solution is live and direct in UK. In the last 2 weeks alone, or in the last 1 week plus, we've done over 1,000. Over 1,000 people. That would have taken us how many days if we had not automated the solution? So the solution is automated. So as we speak also on the issue of the passport, when we came on board, we realized that we were spending over almost 800 million naira a year doing what? Scanning documents. And when you bring your breeder document, immigration will now scan it, they will now pay whatever. We're spending almost 800 million. But what did we do? We automated the process and said, listen, we don't have the money to waste. Why can't individuals upload their documents? And that's what we have done. And today, that has saved NIS of about 800 million naira every year. Just by that singular decision. That's part of what we've been able to do. And of course, also, we also thought that there is a need for us to bring integrity into our passport. When we came on board, we realized that whenever a Nigerian carries a Nigerian passport and travels abroad, when you get to any airport in the world, by the time you present your passport, they try to scan it, it gives a red sign. Why? Because Nigeria, our passport was not integrated to what we call the PKD, that's the Public Key Directory, which is ICAO in Montreal. And we saw that that was embarrassing the image of Nigeria. And guess what? For the first time, this particular administration got Nigeria imported into the PKI-PKD infrastructure in Montreal, Canada. That was achieved by this particular administration. What it means now is that anywhere in the world, the Nigerian passport can be certified, can be read, and the Nigerian passport is on the same scale as what you have of all other top passports you are seeing in the world. We have been able to do that. And of course, in terms of our visa administration, we also realize that for a country of 230 million, honestly speaking, Nigeria we should have more people coming into Nigeria than we have. And we realize the stress with our visa acquisition process. And what did we do? We reviewed it. We submitted what we call Nigerian Visa Policy 2024 to Mr. President, which Mr. President graciously approved. And that is why last December, Minister of Creative Economy will tell you that we had more people coming into Nigeria than ever because the whole system in terms of getting Nigerian visas were relaxed without us foregoing our security considerations. And I want to assure you further that in the next couple of weeks, we are still going to make it more seamless because we are almost at the top of that. We are introducing our e-visa rather than what we call the visa on arrival. The e-visa means you get your visa in 48 hours maximum coming in Nigeria. We have to make it easy. And in the era when you need to go to, it's compulsory you go to visa application center for biometric before you come to Nigeria, even for 1 week, for 2 days, that era is gone. We are opening our space to make sure that we're able to bring more people into Nigeria. I don't want to dwell only on Nigerian Immigration Service and of course, our border control, maritime border control, our land border control, surveillance solution via the e-border solution is up and running as we speak. We have been able to handle about 60% of our land border, which is about 2,400 kilometers, has been covered by issue of our border surveillance. And of course, with monitoring and everything happening in a centralized location, at the level of the Nigerian Immigration Service headquarters. And of course, the remaining 40%, the phase 2, which covers the 40%, is what we are presently working on. And with that, we should be able to have an equal view of all the 4,047 kilometers of our land border. We hope that with this, having information ahead, we'll be able to play the critical role that Immigration Service is supposed to play, which is border control. And of course, when support is needed, immigration can escalate to the Nigerian military for support. So these are part of the things we've done. And now to the issue of the correctional service. I will tell you that I'll just give you a small example. When we had an issue, what we call, under this administration, we've not had a jail attack. Yes, we've had 2 jailbreaks, no jail attack. The difference, of course, is jailbreak is when people escape from correctional centers. Jail attack is when people forcefully, like what happened in Kuje years back. That is jail attack. We've not had any, and that's because of the collaboration between all our agencies, the Nigerian Police, Nigerian Army, NSS, DSS, NI, all of them. We've been working together, and we've done we've employed what we call proactive policing, rather than being reactive. So that's why we don't have any. But I'll give you an example. When we had a jailbreak in Niger, in Suleja, some couple of months ago, it was difficult for us to be able to even release the details of the inmates that absconded, the fugitives, because we didn't have access to their data, to their solutions. It took us days, support of NIMSI, road safety, the BVN, and etc., to be able to get a lot of the information before we got it. But about 2 months later, we had the flood that happened in Borno, in Maiduguri. And in less than 6 hours, we had shared the biometric, the picture, all the details of all inmates. That shared it with all security agencies. And in less than 24 hours, we started picking them up one by one. Why is it so? It is because this particular administration has successfully, in partnership with NIMSI, we've successfully captured all our inmates, and it's a constant thing, such that there is a biometric data of all inmates. What that means is that if you think you escape, you are only on sabbatical holiday, we will pick you wherever you are. We will pick you. So these are some of the things that Mr. President has been able to do. And also, we must also know that when this particular administration came, Mr. President has increased the feeding allowance of our inmates by 50%, which is huge, regarding where we are. Yes, we are not yet where we want to be, but we are not where we were, and we're not where we don't want to be. Mr. President has increased the feeding of our inmates, the feeding allowance of our inmates. That's number one. And also, Mr. President, as we speak today, you get to Kuje, you will see that Kuje Correctional Center is not where you used to know. It has changed. And ditto some other correctional centers. As we are speaking, we have not less than about 8 or 9 correctional centers that are going through one innovation or the other. As I always say, it's easy for people to criticize. It's easy for people to say, oh, this administration, what are you doing with respect to correctional centers? We have to understand that we have 248 correctional centers. And these 248 correctional centers that we have, a lot of these were even created before people like us were born. I know that the one in Ikoyi was built in 1956. The one in Suleja, I think is this Suleja, that was 1914. Yes, Suleja was constructed in 1914. That was the year of amalgamation of Nigeria. So Mr. President inherited a lot of lot of things that needed to be done. And of course, Rome was not built in a day. But we have started the process of renovating those correctional centers. I always say, if years back, 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, there's been this sort of constant renovation, we will not be where we are. Mr. President is starting and doing all these things from scratch, and you get to these correctional centers, you will know that it is no longer business as usual in this center. And of course, Mr. President has also approved the process for the commencement of the process of the relocation of 29 correctional centers across the country. I'll give you an example. Imagine the correctional center in Ikoyi, a correctional center sharing a fence with the Polo Club. You know, that's not ideal in anywhere in the world. You go to the one in Ibadan, it's inside the market, in the one in the correctional center. When there was the jailbreak in Suleja, it was impossible for us to catch them immediately because the correctional center was less than 5 meters from the next house, which is a gross violation of the law. The law says there must be a buffer of minimum of 100 meters. That is what the law says. So, but a lot of these places, urbanization has eaten up. So the president has approved that we should start that process of relocating these correctional centers to be able to sanitize our system. And of course, I have just 5 minutes, and I need to touch some other points. And of course, we must also know that over 3,000 within the last 6 months of last year of our inmates were rehabilitated. When I talk about rehabilitated, I mean inmates, because when you go to a correctional center, the name changed from prisons to correctional, because to us, the prison is a place of incarceration. But a correctional center is a place of correction, is a place of reformation, is a place of transformation. So in line with that, what have we been able to do? In the last 3 months, in the last 6 months of last year, we were able to train and empower over 3,000 of our inmates, so that once they go out of correctional centers, they will have something meaningful to do, and it will reduce the rate of recidivism. And also, let me say this before I leave correctional center, that last year we decongested our correctional center by 5%, because over 4,000 inmates were released in one day by us without government paying a dime. All we needed to do, those inmates, we did an analysis, and we realized that about 4,000 people were in correctional centers based on petty fines, inability to pay fines, some 5,000, 10,000, etc. And we reached out to the private sector, they collaborated with us, and in one day we were able to release over 4,082 inmates in one day. What that means is that in feeding, it saves government of minimum of 1 billion naira a year. That is the savings that particular action did to the government of Nigeria. And of course, I'll go to the NSCDC. The NSCDC, just as we know, is in charge of the protection of critical national asset of government. And part of the things that the NSCDC has been able to do is, just a second. Part of the things that the NSCDC has been able to do is the establishment of what we call the mining marshal. Because what we realized was that there was a lot of crisis within the mining sector, solid minerals, and we needed to solve that solution and solve that problem. And at that time, there was a bit of controversy. Should we establish a new agency or not, and etc. But we sat down with the Minister of Solid Minerals. It was a partnership and an understanding with the Ministry of Solid Minerals, which is what Mr. President has always preached: inter-ministerial collaboration and support. And what did we do? We came up with the mining marshals. They are civil defense officers under the control of the Ministry of Solid Minerals. And the effect is what we can see today in terms of our protection of our solid mineral site. And you know that the level of crisis has actually gone down. And also, I have to also say this, that we were able worked in the last 1 year to destroy over 2,125 illegal refineries and oil dumps across the Niger Delta. That's part of what NSCDC were able to do. About 205 trucks conveying illegally refined petroleum products were also apprehended, and over 700 suspects arrested, and a lot of them being prosecuted as we speak. And of course, last year we secured over 345 convictions by the NSCDC, while about 187 cases are still in court as we speak. And this is, of course, this particular administration too has been able to also, we have been able to train and deploy over 10,000 agro rangers across our farm settlements to be able to give support to the Ministry of Agriculture. And of course, this administration has also been able to procure over 100 operational vehicles for the cause, because we know we want them to work, and it will be wickedness if we expect them to deliver when we have not empowered them to deliver. This particular administration under Mr. President has procured over 100 operational vehicles and about 12 gunboats to be able to secure our assets, our maritime assets. These are some of the few. Because of time, there's a lot more to be done, to be said, but with respect to them. Of course, I'll talk about the board. The board, this is very important to me, because for the first, and it will be very uncharitable to Mr. President if I don't say one, or my time is up, but please just give me 3 minutes to talk about the board. I'll be very uncharitable to Mr. President if I don't talk about the board, because when we came on board, we inherited promotion backlogs. But as I speak to you, to all officers in paramilitary, we do not have any promotion backlog again. Nobody. We do not. In 2 years, within 18 months, Mr. President has approved, and it has been implemented, promotion of 52,000 paramilitary officers. It has never happened. There is no officer today who works within our paramilitary structure that will say the promotion is hanging. Even as we speak, just yesterday, we started the promotion exercise, the exam for 2025. We have already started the 2025 exam. So for us, since the board was established in 1986, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is the first time that the promotion exercise of a year did not cross into another year. That is a president who cares and listens about his people. And also, Mr. President also gave what we call hazard allowance, peculiar allowance rather, to our paramilitary officers. These are conditions of service that we've never had before. And I want to say this very critically, that for our officers in uniform, they will tell you it has never been as good as this in the Nigerian paramilitary service under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. With this, obviously, the fire service is the only one I've not spoken about, but you have to pardon me, my time is up. And I hope that in due course we'll have time to talk more about the fire service, and of course, even the ministry, with regards to what we are doing, with regards to expatriate applications, and etc. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Please, can we make the applause a bit louder? Thank you very much. Growing up, every time we hear the Ministry of Interior, what comes to mind is the declaration of public holidays. But this time, this minister has changed the narrative. Please, can we give him a round of applause? Thank you very much. For the sake of time, we'll quickly move to our questions from the members of the media. We'll take it in the trench of 2 trenches, 3 questions in parts. 3 questions for the first part, and 3 questions for the second part. Please, the ground rules. Your name, the media organization you write for, and straight to the question, because we have limited time to be on air. So thank you very much. So the woman in front, 1, 2, 3. In the second trench, we'll start from you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ministers, for your presentations. My name is Onoche Bridget, and I am the Bureau Chief of the Guardian newspaper here in Abuja. My question is for the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs. Honorable Minister, sir, I want to thank you again for your presentation. Yeah, for several months, ambassadors were recalled. Until now, new ones have been appointed.
Please, members of the press, can you please give
While I understand
space?
that it's not within your power to appoint, I want to find out from you if this delay does not affect the implementation of your foreign policies. If it does, what are you telling Mr. President so that he can do what he's supposed to do and appoint ambassadors for Nigeria? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Number 2.
Good afternoon, Honorable Ministers. My name is Sonny Daniel. I am an editor with Vanguard newspaper. Let me direct my concern to the 2 ministers. They can jointly address the issue. A report came to us from China a few months ago that the visa issued to some Chinese nationals in Nigeria by NIS, some of them are declared as fake when they are in China. And for this reason, many of them cannot return to Nigeria because the embassy in China orders the security people to arrest people with such visas duly issued in Nigeria. And when that report came, I tried to send it to the Minister of Interior. I don't know if you have addressed that issue. Can it be possible for a country, 2 agencies in a country, this one issues visa in Nigeria, and when it reaches the consular office in China, such visas are declared as fake? You may please, the 2 ministers should speak to these.
All right, thank you.
And finally, sir, Minister of Information, this one involves you and all other ministries in Nigeria. Today, the president wants everybody to have easy access to doing business in Nigeria.
Sorry, let me interrupt you. The 2 ministers here didn't get your question correctly. Are you saying the visas were issued here?
Yes.
Nigerian visas or Chinese visas? Please, can you take it up again because they are both confused about what you're trying to say.
Okay. In Nigeria here, Chinese were issued with Nigerian visas.
We can see here.
I just consulted with my counterpart now, foreign affairs. Nigerian visas are not issued in Nigeria. Visas means that you are to enter Nigeria.
Right.
And we cannot give you visa in Nigeria to enter Nigeria.
No. The Chinese,
yes,
who come here to do business,
yes,
they were given Nigerian visas to come here.
yes.
From their country.
Okay.
Right. But when they parade such visas, they are declared as fake
by
the consular in China.
Oh,
when they go home, they can't return here
no.
Because the visas are said to be fake. And this is because...
All right, so let's settle down. Let's simmer down so that we can have an understanding. Please, let's settle down so that we can have a clear understanding of the picture.
Gentlemen, let's have some quiet, please, so that he can finish his question. The honorable ministers will answer him thereafter. Thank you.
Okay, that is one. I called you, Minister of Information, to draw the attention to the fact that in this country, every ministry, every parastatal purportedly has a website, and they put some numbers there. Many times, if you want to make inquiries as a journalist, as an investor, such websites are shown as not available. And if you click, it will show you error, page not available. The number they put there, none is, most of them are not correct. Please, as the president desires that there should be ease of doing business, can you take a look at all the ministries in Nigeria, all the parastatals in Nigeria? How many of their websites are functional? How easy is it to reach them? Because apart from coming here to meet with ministers and listen to what they are saying, it is very difficult to reach ministers in this country. If you go to the office, they'll ask you, are you on appointment? No matter how serious. And there may be issues to correct, to save the image of Nigeria, but you cannot reach them because they have told their secretaries, today is not visiting them, nobody should see me, no matter the issue. So there should be a way for ministers to interact, even with journalists. If you have a question, to do a story, that doesn't need to wait more than 24 hours. You can't reach any of them.
Thank you.
Until you are on appointment. So this should be addressed.
Thank you, sir.
Much.
Thank you. The third person. There.
Honorable Ministers, my name is Sanayo Chugwa. I write for Hotel Magazine. And I have one question for the Minister of Interior. You said you increased the daily allowance of prisoners by 50%. We would like to know what this plus 50% is in real terms. How much is it? Then for the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Minister, yes, I want to have your attention. So you talked a lot about the dignity of Nigeria and how you are restoring it, and we are glad to hear. Recently, the story coming out of US had a lot of Nigerians worried, and we would like to hear from you about it. It has been confirmed, or rather claimed, by the US people themselves that US sponsors Boko Haram. They also told us that the food scarcity in Nigeria has been caused by US operations, you said. And then ECOWAS is more or less being destabilized. And it is also alleged that US may have been behind the destabilization of ECOWAS because they perceive that Nigeria has the potential to be a big country. And then this does not help the dignity of the average Nigerian. So the question we are asking is this. How is it possible that Nigeria is being destabilized at this tripartite level? ECOWAS being destabilized, food scarcity being caused in Nigeria by USAID, and Boko Haram, probably even the banditry itself, being allegedly sponsored by the United States. And the US is our partner. They are supposed to be. So what does their ministry know that we don't know? And what are you doing about this? We would like to know. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, you may wish to respond to these first sets of questions.
Thank you very much for those questions. So beginning with Bridget, about appointment of ambassadors. What I can say to you is, it is what it is. It's the nature of governance, it's the nature of politics. You work with the circumstances you find yourself. But I would like to assure you that in the very near future, names of nominated ambassadors are going to be forwarded to the Senate. So this is something that is more or less concluded. But even within the confines of missions, you have a lot of officers that work there. home-based officers, and it is a microcosm of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So you have immigration there, you have defense, so you have military officers there, and several others. So it doesn't mean that the missions grind to a halt simply because a head of mission or an ambassador has not been appointed. So please understand this. We are working. Our missions are functioning. Bridget, you're not clapping. With regards to Sunny of Vanguard, the issue of Chinese visas in China issued in Nigerian visas issued in China, and then that our mission is collaborating with the Chinese or having people arrested. That is not the case, and in fact, it is really not our business. What I'm assuming you are referring to is this issue that the Chinese authorities have about their nationals, not Nigerians, their nationals that traveled during COVID when they were not supposed to travel. Okay? So they have maybe entry stamps here, but they don't have exit stamps in their country. So when they go back, their own authorities have a problem with them because China was shut down during COVID. So it has nothing to do with Nigeria, it has nothing to do with foreign affairs, Nigerian foreign affairs, or immigration, or interior, or any of us. We have nothing to do with that. With regards to the dignity of Nigeria and this allegation, because it is an allegation, it's not something that has been proven. And we know that politics is also played in the United States of America. They have partisan politics. It's not our business. We're not getting involved in their domestic politics. There has been an allegation. We find the allegation interesting enough to look into, to investigate. The relevant authorities are looking into it. What are we doing with regards to destabilization, and what are we doing with regards to Boko Haram? I can tell you for free that Boko Haram has been severely degraded. I can tell you for free that we have a safe corridor in Gombe where suspected militants, combatants, non-combatants, those that were trapped during the conflict in certain areas are being sorted out. Those that need to be reoriented are being reoriented. Those that need to be tried are being tried. Those that need to be supported and helped and resettled are being resettled. And as a matter of fact, Nigeria, what Nigeria is doing has become a model for other countries. Somalia is looking at what we're doing, saying they want to copy us, and several others. So really, we deserve to give ourselves a pat on the back. And of course, we have the multinational joint task force. Again, you see, sometimes we take for granted some of the solutions, homegrown solutions, organic solutions that we come up with and we apply and that are so effective. The multinational joint task force is being looked at by even developed countries to say, how are these guys doing it? We want to do the same thing. And our soldiers, I'm sure you've heard of Black Hawk Down, that movie that was about a US helicopter that was brought down in Somalia. What the movie left out was the Nigerian troops that went in to help rescue the Americans. So we really need to start looking at ourselves differently. We need to start looking at our model and our applications. We need to start looking at what we did with regards to peace building in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, and what we're doing now in the Northeast. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will have to take my leave in some minutes, but I thought I should respond to the man from Vanguard who talked about the websites of some of the ministries not active. We are working with all the ministries. Many of the ministries have their websites really very active. We are working with them to help them to really make the websites more interactive. I'm sure you have seen that there has been a significant improvement compared to a few years ago about the kind of activity you see on these websites. The federal government, especially the Federal Ministry of Information, is working very seriously on that. If you look at the FGN Connect that was launched last week, if you also look at some of the activities of the Ministry of Information, including this activity, ensure that information flow becomes easily, information is easily made accessible to not only Nigerians, everybody from around the world, because that's the only way that the Presidential Enabling Environment Council that the President is putting forward can be very active for Nigeria. So it's work in progress, and we'll continue to improve on that. As I go out, Mr. Bayo Nanuga will sit in for me. I will now hand over the microphone to the Honorable Minister of Interior. I'm not abdicating. I have another state function that I have to attend to. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. I think there were two questions, and I want to assume that the Minister of Foreign Affairs has answered the first one. The other one is about the 50% increase in feeding of inmates. When we came, what we had was a daily feeding rate of 750 naira. So what we have as we speak is 1,125 naira. So that's what we have at the moment, so which sums up to the 50% we said. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll take the second tranche of questions. The gentleman there, the one from Punch. I will take, let's give a lady, please, the lady over there. Thank you. Mr. Asian.
The honorable ministers, my name is Abdurrahman, Prince Newspapers. Well, from day one, Honorable Minister of Interior, my question is, my questions are directed at you. From taking up that office, you have really demonstrated that you had a mission, and you have marshaled out how you hope to, achieve those missions. I remember we had, a privileged meeting with you on your first day of appointment, and you told us a lot of things. Now we are seeing them coming into fruition. Today, I think it's a fact that the prices of food are beginning to come down. At least we expect that more will still be achieved. But then this can only be sustained if we have a level of security in our farmlands. Here I'm talking about the agro rangers. Just 2 days ago, some farmers were killed in Ondo. Very many times, farmers were killed, and even other people in Benue and a couple of other places. Now, what is happening about these agro rangers? You mentioned it in passing, but you still need to dwell on it. What is happening to it? Our farmlands still appears to be insecure. That's the first leg of the question. Then the second one has to do with immigration. A very big task for the immigration officials at the border posts. What is the level of security available for these guys? We appear to be exposing them to dangers, which is beyond them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 2.
My name is Adelani Adepega. I write for the Punch. In the last 6 months or thereabouts, over 140 Chinese have been arrested in Nigeria for engaging in fraud. What some of them do is come to Nigeria and engage some of our youth and use them to, to defraud people, and romance scam and the rest of them. And there's speculations that there's a visa in either the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the Ministry of Interior. So we'd like to find out whether you have investigated this and maybe get down to the roots to know those who are actually bringing in these Chinese, those who are facilitating their entry into Nigeria. Secondly, I have a question for the Foreign Affairs Minister. It has to do with the state of our foreign embassies. We did a report a few weeks ago about your indebtedness to the staff. Many of them have been owed for several months, and they are really in terrible conditions. I'd like to know how you are addressing this. Now, my final question is for the Minister of Interior. Yesterday, the AGF addressed the press on the visitation panel set up by the federal government, prison visitation panel. And the report has one damning conclusion that the Nigerian prisons are in terrible conditions. I'd like to know whether you have any plan or if you have, what you have done so far to reverse the situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then finally, the lady here.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Claire Mom, and I report for the cable. My question is for the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. You mentioned that Nigeria was involved in the process of transfers for babies in war-torn Gaza to neighboring countries. Could you provide more details on this, including partners or agencies that were involved in the process? Thank you. You mentioned that Nigeria was involved in the transfer of babies from war-torn Gaza to neighboring countries. So kindly provide more details on this, including agencies and partners that were involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Ministers, you may wish to respond.
Thank you very much for those questions. So the first one was directed at the Minister of Interior. I will go to Mr. Adenlami's question about Chinese arrested for fraud, if I get that right. Now, of course, China is a country of 1.2, 1.3 billion people. So, like any other large country, there are good people, there are bad people in China. Some come out here. Of course, it is not surprising that there are bad eggs that find their way here, but it does not mean that we should categorize all Chinese that are here as being bad. Most of them, the overwhelming majority of Chinese that are here in Nigeria are doing business legitimately, working legitimately. But in the case of the bad eggs, we have a criminal justice system, we have security agencies that are charged with the responsibility of investigating and prosecuting such bad eggs should they commit crimes. They have to abide by our laws when they come here, and that's exactly what we're ensuring that they do. With regards to cable news, with regards to the infants and babies that were taken from Gaza and sent to hospitals in Jordan, in Egypt, in the United Arab Emirates, what we did, what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Nigeria did was it worked in conjunction with the Red Cross. So Red Cross approached us to find out if we would be willing to take in such babies, because they were looking for countries that had shown concern about the state of affairs in Gaza, particularly of young people, of the hardship that the Gazans were facing at the time. So our response was that we cannot take the risk of such infants that were in fragile conditions. Some of them were born with heart conditions, for instance. For them to be flown all the way from the Middle East to Nigeria, if something happens, I'm sure everybody will say, wait and send you when you have your own problem here. So that is why we decided, look, the best thing for us to do is we will use our good offices, we will use diplomacy to contact the governments, the ministers of foreign affairs of Jordan, of United Arab Emirates, of Egypt, and impress upon them the need for them to take in such children. And that's exactly what happened. And Alhamdulillah, it succeeded.
All right, thank you. We'll have the Minister of Interior respond to his questions.
Thank you so much. Mr. Abdurrahman asked a question take two questions. One about the issue of the farmers. And I have to say this. Security is a going concern, either we like it or not. That's the truth. And I have to say, we must, as much as I'm not here to justify the little remnants of the ills, but we must also understand where we were and where we are. I think it's very important that we should understand this. As of May 29 last year, you will know May 29, 2023. The question is, where were we? The question now is, where are we? And there has to be a comparison for us to know maybe we're making progress or not. I don't need to tell you that we're making progress. The simple truth is that we're making serious progress as a country in terms of internal security solutions, And with regards to the farmers, I said it in my presentation that in the last 1 year, we've trained 10,000 NSCDC officials, 10,000 to go to the farmlands as agro-rangers. And just last year, towards the end of last year, Mr. President gave us approval for recruitment of 10,000 NSCDC new officers to be able to boost the capacity that we have. So it shows a president who genuinely cares, who understands that when you talk about internal security, you must have boots on ground. That is the truth. And he has given that approval and that nod for us to be able to do that. So yes, I have to acknowledge that there are still some challenges. But the issue is, are we putting in the right effort? The answer is yes. Are we where we were? The answer is no. Are we where we would think we should be? The answer is no. But we are on the right we are making progress. And that is what is important. Any country in the world, I'm not justifying this, but I have to say this very clearly, not just about the issue of agro-rangers and etc. Internal security in any country is a going concern. Some will come, but the issue is that the state must rise up to be able to subdue and to tame it. And that's what I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing with regards to what we have. So I want to assure you that when it comes to the issue of security, we have done a lot under this administration. More will still be done because this is a president who understands that his number one responsibility is protection of lives and property. And with what we have seen with regards to the security situation of Nigeria today, we cannot say he does not understand that. And in furtherance to that is the reason why 10,000 officers, why we have trained 10,000 and we're going to recruit more to be able to provide security for our farmlands. Then you spoke about NIS officers at the borders. I said it, the issue is we must ask ourselves, this is a debate people don't like to have, but I think it's a debate we must actually have. We have to look at where as a country we were by 2023, May 29. Let's call a spade a spade. Our border, what was the situation of our borders? What is the situation as at today? And for these officers, I can tell you under this administration, because of security concerns, I will not tell you details, but I will tell you that I know even weapons, that it is this administration that procured even for the immigration service at the border. Because the question is, immigration officers are paramilitary. They are paramilitary because they are supposed to assist the military. Issue of internal security is not supposed to be military. Issue of internal security, issue of border control is supposed to be paramilitary. It is only when it escalates beyond the capacity of the paramilitary that the military will come and support. But what we inherited was a system whereby when we came on board, internal security solutions were purely the military. That's the truth. So, and it is not that our officers are not diligent, not that they are not patriotic, not that they are not competent, but they didn't have the required tools, the weapons to do their job. I can say this clearly. For instance, the list of the example is even at our point of entries. How can, before this government came, what we had was a scenario where the meters or rejection of entry into Nigeria was objective and not based on objectivity. Because this was an agreement by United Nations regulations approved that all nations should be on board as far back as 2006. It took President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration almost 19 years after to get it done. Without APs, without you having the knowledge of who is coming, without you having the security background, without you knowing anything about who is coming, you just allow people to come in. In years back, the people on Interpol Red List that were apprehended, they would have found their ways into Nigeria. That is the truth. This is what this government has been able to do. This is the same government that has been able to, as simple as rifles, this government has been able to do. We spoke about 100 vehicles. Even in immigration service, it was this government that got about 40-something vehicles, even for border control. Ordinary vehicles, we didn't have it for border control. This government came, did that. In NSCDC, this government came with 100 vehicles. This government did that. Gunboats, this government came, this government did that. This is a government that understands security. And a government that understands that for you to send people to protect your border, for you to send people to put their lives on the line, they must be encouraged. That is why this government came up with peculiar allowance for these officers. That is why this government made sure that promotion nobody was denied promotion. Everything this is the government that came with a comprehensive insurance for these officers. This is a government that has given these officers all that is needed to encourage them. So for us, let us call a spade a spade. Mr. President has done more. But when we are fixated on where we are and we lose sight of where we were, then we will not understand and be appreciative of the effort of this government. And I think that is a misnomer. So please, I want, as much as there are still things to be done, we must not lose our sight on the things that have been done. So our officers, immigration officers, will tell you they are better positioned. Today, kilometers in and out of Nigeria, before you come, we see you, we view you. These are things we now see in our command and control. We didn't have that capacity before. There is no security for their life that is better than that. Because if somebody wants to come in and kill you, the person will come to Nigeria, kill you at the border. Before you know, the person is coming. But today, we have an eagle eye, even before you get into the border of Nigeria. That is the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's effect. That is what we have done. So I want to assure you, a lot more will still be done. Mr. President is not resting, and all of us as his appointees, I tell you, you can't work with this president and rest, because 24/7, when you go to him, he doesn't care about what you've done. It's about what next do you want to do, and that is leadership. So please be rest assured, immigration officers, it's not business as usual. It's not what it used to be. It's a new story under the renewed hope of Mr. President. Then, you spoke about the Chinese personnel arrested. Yes, as my ambassador rightly said, a lot of Chinese are doing wonderful things in Nigeria, and we have to give them. And the world is a global village, so we cannot isolate ourselves within the global context of the world. But we understood on our side, because like Shakespeare said, to thyself be true. Tell yourself the truth. There were some issues with regards to the NIS before now, and I have to give special credit to the set of appointees that Mr. President has appointed, the CGNIS, the CG NSCDC, and the CG Correctional, CG NIMC, Fire Service, and etc. I'll tell you, the CG NIS came to me and said, Oga, I think we need to review the whole visa administration system. Because what we had was a scenario whereby visas were issued without audit trail. You cannot do that and expect that there won't be abuse. That's why what we have been able to do now, which we are hoping to launch in the next couple of weeks, what is left for us is we have scheduled that maybe by next week we will meet with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Trade and Investment, and look at the new revised visa scheme. So what we have done now is that there is what we call an EAS, Expatriate Administration System. So it is a solution where there's only one back end with diverse solutions. Maybe visa, maybe SEPAC, maybe TWP, everything fits into one back end. And that back end is integrated to MIDAS, to Interpol 247, and all criminal record-based system in the world. So if you want to come into Nigeria, I don't want the decision of granting you visa or not to just be subjective. Let it be objective and let it be based on your record. If you have a criminal record anywhere in the world, or you're on the wanted list or whatever, the system should be able to take you out of the system before an immigration officer will even approve it. So we are changing the whole visa case management system. And I tell you that in the next 1 month, when we come to talk about this, we would have seen visible differences. As I keep saying, it's a going concern. There are issues that will come up, but while we're in government, it's for us to be able to respond effectively when challenges come. So you can be sure of that. Then you spoke about the prison, the correctional center, what the AGF, that's Mr. Dekweba, about the AGF's report. I said this very clearly. Please, for a second, let's give this government, let's give this president credit. Most of our correctional centers, I don't know, maybe except Kuje that was created after I was born. I don't know any that is not older than me. That's the truth. I gave you an example of a correctional center that's over 100 years old. Nobody ever thought of renovating. This president came, as I speak to you, a lot. The one in Jos, the one in Lagos, the one in Porta, a lot of these correctional centers are presently being renovated. Mr. President cannot renovate 246 in one day. Let's call a spade a spade. This problem started before him. But what others have never done, what they've never done, taking the bull by the horn to solve the problem, this president is doing it. Go to Kuje and see the difference. So, for us, it's work in progress. And also, this president has approved relocation of 29. For goodness sake, it is not just today that Agodi prison started being inside the markets in Ibadan. It is not today. He took his own, he took the will of the president to say, let's relocate it. It is not today that the Enugu prison is in GRA. It is not today that the one in Uyo is opposite government house. It is not today that the one in Suleja is inside people's compound. It's not today. These were problems of 100 years. Let us first of all identify the problems. That's the truth. If we identify the problem, we will appreciate the effort of Mr. President. So that is where we are. So the issue of correctional service is not going to be a quick fix, bam, let's just do it and go. No, you are talking about construction. You are talking about relocation. It is not what you purchase in the market. You don't go and purchase a building. You take time to do it. And the issue is, have we started as a government? Yes. Did anybody who tell us before? No. The one in Ikoyi, when you are sharing fence with Polo Club, Obafemi Awolowo way, how can a prison be on Obafemi Awolowo in Ikoyi? That prison was in 1956. In 1956, when it was built, urbanization had not caught up. But today, the reality is there's urbanization. So, we are making progress. But my final word on this before I drop the mic is across all, not just in interior, in foreign affairs. Ambassador Tuka just spoke about what this government has been able to do. Let us think, where were we in foreign affairs before this government? In agriculture, where were we? In security, where were we? If we ask ourselves, don't let 2 years is long, yes, but it's not for us to lose or forget history. If we know where, we now appreciate where we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Spoken like a true patriot. Very distinguished ladies, I think that is all that our time will permit. At this time, I will yield the floor for the special advisor to the president to give the closing remark.
Well, as a placeholder, let me apologize on behalf of the Minister for Information and National Orientation. He has an appointment with the president, and he has to just go and keep that appointment. My role is very simple. I want to thank our guests, the two ministers, Mr. Olubumi Tuji and Ambassador Tuga. Thank you for coming. I think the journalists have had a good day today listening to you about what you are doing in your ministries. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Let me also thank our journalists who are here, our colleagues. Thanks for coming as usual. We appreciate your coming. In fact, today is, by my observation, this is a well-attended press briefing today. We thank you a lot. I hope you will do justice to what the two ministers have said today. This series continues next week, so we expect all of us to come here again on Thursday next week for another meeting with 2 or just 1 minister. So I want to wish everybody well. Happy weekend in advance. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Will you please rise as we take the first stanza of our national anthem. We've come to the end of today's press briefing. Thank you.